Interact's Disciplinary Action Management module can be integrated with payroll management and with contract and hiring management for when employees are terminated. You can choose in the original setup whether it requires an infraction report or whether a disciplinary action can be issued straight away without further documentation. Approvals can be done through workflow at the supervisor level, organization unit level, or by the HR department. And obviously, you can define a more sophisticated workflow if there's a need for that. As usual, everything is configurable in Interact. For example, the security levels for violations are entirely user-defined, including the color coding. You can even choose to use icons to distinguish between the different types of infractions. The same rule applies to the infractions or violations that would be tracked in the system, which you can define yourself. You can give them a code, a description, and you can link this with a specific severity level. This will allow you to codify the data which you are tracking in the system. You can also define your own disciplinary action types, and each type will be linked to a specific outcome and can be associated with leave policies. For example, if somebody is put on unpaid leave, for those disciplinary action procedures where the presence of a union representative is required, you can define unions in the system and define who would be the union representatives. This will ensure that union representative details will be recorded and the correct procedure followed during the disciplinary actions process. The workflow for disciplinary actions is based on 3 steps. It starts with the reporting of the infraction. Then there is the investigation into this report. And finally, the disciplinary action itself, which may or may not result from it. As you can see based on the color coding, I can see immediately which infractions or violations are more serious than others. Here, I will be able to read through the infraction of violation report that has been issued. Note that with self-service, you can decide who is the right person in the organization to be entering this information. You could also attach any supporting documents that are required. Once the infraction is reported, investigators can be appointed who will go and investigate the issue. Here, for example, we can find the results of an investigation that has already been completed, and we can find all the details that have been recorded by the investigator, including notes and minutes of meetings, which can also be attached as documents. Finally, there is a recommended disciplinary action which is recommended by the investigator. As a result, you will have a disciplinary action detail form, which will provide you with all the details regarding the specific infraction that was reported, the result of this infraction, and the findings of the investigators who have looked into this. Now we'll look at the final step of issuing a disciplinary action. You'll notice that I can also say the prior history if there was any prior disciplinary actions. Everything will stay on the record, and you'll be able to find the actions necessary to bring about improvement. And you'll find comments from the employee because the employee will also have the ability to provide feedback. The purpose of this module is to make the documentation of the disciplinary process more transparent and more effective so that in organizations that are spread out over multiple locations, there is no risk of important information getting lost.